Good morning, and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, Saxe, this September 11, 2022. Let's take a deep breath together. Just breathe. Breathe and relax. Settling in. Removing ourselves from the world just a bit so that we can be here fully, having an experience with each other for the next hour or so. We let ourselves be supported by the chairs. And we let go of all of the things that we carry, our responsibilities and obligations. We let go of all the roles that we play throughout the week. Husband, wife, friend, caregiver, son, daughter, volunteer, business owner, employee. We just let go of all of those roles, all of those outer expressions. And we tune in to who and what we truly are. Beings of light and love. Beloved souls, unique expressions of the divine. We tune in to that which matters, that only matters. Knowing that all else is window dressing. We open our hearts and minds this morning, ready for a deep experience, ready to rediscover who we are, perhaps, as love and light. Ready to discover or remember what it is we are here to do on this planet. And to find whatever treasure there is in this experience to help us to step more fully into our divinity. We are grateful for community, the opportunity to be together, to learn and share with each other, to hug and love each other, to walk this journey together, to share life's serendipities and synchronicities. To enjoy this community that is humanity. That space where we learn with and from each other. And so we settle further in, opening up just a little bit more. Opening up just a little bit more. Knowing that whether we sit here together in this room or you're watching remotely, that we are all indeed one. And that this is a shared experience, for there is no distance or time in spirit. We are inextricably joined. So together we get to experience the magic of life, the magic and majesty and magnificence of life. And so it is here from this place within us, from which we gather all strength and power, and from which all knowledge flows. And we sing our centering song, Spirit's Prayer.
I could feel the ground shake beneath my feet. It shakes this rock, even this solid concrete. A reminder that the enemy is always near. A feeling of loneliness, fear, and despair. The darkness says there's no way out, no escape, no relief, just worry and doubt. And when the fire comes, and it will come, we must remind ourselves what power lives in you and me. I can feel the flames. Do you ever feel that intense heat? The stuff in your life that's real and loud and brings that feeling of defeat. You see, we always want to know what's just beyond the flames, what just lies ahead. But Jesus calls us to something different instead. To stand surrounded, to stand amidst the fire, and to know that He is near. To trust that He knows what we don't. That He is our deliverer, and He will deliver us. But even if He doesn't, I'll still stand. Even if He doesn't, I will not fall. I'll count the joy in every battle, because I know where Jesus will be. He'll be standing amidst the fire, in the flames, right beside me. He is God Emmanuel, God with us, and he reigns far above, because he who was and is and will be is with me through it all. And I know I will never, never be alone.
Good morning, everybody. That was pretty good there. Pretty good. That's right. So no matter what, boom, he's there to knock all those things off of us. Today I want to just thank my beautiful granddaughters. For being here with me. It's, just something that I just love in my whole heart. I don't know. It's just, what a tremendous, great feeling. And this is what it's all about. It's on this inspirational moment. It's how to let God help you. And the word is becoming. In the beginning, God created man in his own image and likeness. The germ of God, I had to put that in there. Sorry, sweetie. The germ of God, likeness, slumbers in us. And it should be our true aim to make manifest this perfect self in our lives. All of us sooner or later come to a place in our development where we are no longer satisfied to go on living the old life without the acknowledgement of our oneness with God. Sometimes when we reach this point in our soul's progress, we do not at first know just what is taking place. We may become restless and dissatisfied. We may go through experiences which we do not understand. We may even be tempted to think that our good has gone from us. As we leave old circumstances, beliefs, habits, and desires behind, and seek to understand and to enter into and get the blessing out of a larger life, we are filled with an assurance that all is well. We should then turn our attentions within and devote ourselves to those thoughts and acts which make for poise, order, health, and success. As we realize our divinity, that we have power and authority to think and to speak the good and true and to have it manifest, we no longer invite or submit into inharmony or limitations. We think truth and it directs us in ways of peace. If you'll repeat our affirmation with me 3 times. As I fully embrace my divinity, I realize my power and authority to think, speak, and manifest only goodness into my life. As I fully embrace my divinity, I realize my power and authority to think, speak, and manifest only goodness into my life. As I embrace my divinity, I realize my power and authority to think, speak and manifest only goodness into my life. Thank you.
Love is in me now. It's always flowing, it's always growing. Peace is in me now. It's always flowing, it's always growing now. Breathe. Breathe. Peace. And love. Breathe. Peace. And love. Now.
So I had the opportunity to speak with someone a couple of days ago who was really struggling with something that had happened to her, and it really needed a discussion. She wanted to talk a little further. We had texted back and forth, but you can't do everything in a text, nor should we try. So we talked, and it came up that she's a part of this group that I'm in, and she had volunteered to send information to someone by email, and did what she committed to do, but then didn't get a response, an acknowledgement of the email. And not getting the acknowledgement triggered her into spiraling down into a story about what that meant about her and their relationship. And it really just became a very dark, disturbing experience for her. And sometimes, depending on where we are in life and what we're dealing with, things become bigger. They become much bigger issues than they actually are. And so she wanted to talk about, what do I do with this? How do I deal with this pain? Because I end up in relationships where people don't give back to me when I give to them. What do I do with this? And it was just really, really a big struggle, a deep, dark struggle for her. So we talked, and after she explained again and went through the story about what this meant, I just let her talk, because sometimes we just need to vent everything. Stuff comes up, we got stuff boiling inside of us, and sometimes we just need to take the pressure off, lift the cap off, and let everything out. And once we get everything out, then we can start to think and process. But as long as we stay in the swirl of emotion, it's hard to see clear to whatever a solution may be present. Whatever may be present. So I thought a couple of things. One, that there really was no relationship between her and the person she sent the email to. Sometimes we're just in an acquaintanceship with each other. And we're in space together, and even though that space might be sacred space where we share from our hearts and in minds, we're not connected. We don't have deep relationship with each other beyond the circle. And so what I have had to learn in my life sometimes is to put things in their proper perspective. Put them in their proper place. What indeed is my relationship to this person? And when I start to construct a story, does a story actually have any basis in fact? Most of the time, we don't know what's happening on the other side. And so I've learned to let go of my stories because I don't know what can happen, but as long as I speculate, I can take myself into some pretty dark places sometimes. I also have learned to give people grace because I can't tell you how many times I forget to return an email, not because I don't care, but because I got busy. A lot of times I forget to acknowledge a text because on my iPhone, there's a little blue dot until I open that text. And when that dot goes away, my attention goes away. And life happens, and I forget. So it doesn't mean I don't love or care for whoever sent the message. It just means life happened. And life happens to us all. Life happens to us all. But I realized that this was a highly sensitive time for her because she's grieving. And so everything is pronounced. Everything is pronounced. And yet in the midst of that, we have opportunities to step back and perhaps acknowledge that there might be something else going on other than what I think is happening because I've constructed a story. Constructed a story. I thought also that there's very little now, if anything, that I will let disturb my peace. What do you allow in? And what's important enough to disturb your peace? I don't know that anything is important enough to me to disturb my peace because I believe I can find peace in any circumstance. It may take work, but I believe it's there. And I can find it if I will stay open and if I will widen my perspective of life and of a situation. One of my very best friends does not remember when my birthday really is. We have a very, very close relationship. And every year, he thinks it's a different day. So it's just interesting. And you would think, and there would be some, and probably a number of years ago, that would have really upset me that somebody didn't remember exactly when my birthday is. At some point, I have far less self-importance than I used to. And so I realized there might be more going on in someone's life than thinking about and remembering when my birthday is. We always celebrate it. And I'm totally open to celebrating my birthday for a month, 2 months. It doesn't matter to me. I'll celebrate all year round. I don't care when you remember it, I'll celebrate it. Because life is to be celebrated. What I also know is a very, very close friend of his who he had for many, many years passed away on my birthday. So he has a blind spot around that date. The last thing he needs, or that I need to do, is to berate him about not remembering me on that day. It's all about perspective. Doesn't mean he doesn't love me. Doesn't mean he doesn't care. Doesn't mean he doesn't want to celebrate me on whatever day we end up celebrating. It just means his heart every year is somewhere else on that date. I'm not jealous about it. It doesn't upset me. And I never say a thing about it. And whenever we celebrate, we celebrate. I wouldn't have had that same feeling 5, 10 years ago. Well, maybe longer. Oh, God, what year is it? Okay. But it's all about perspective. You know, the thing about life is, yes, it's all about us, and it's not about us. Yes, we're important. Yes, how we show up in the world matters. Yes, our relationships matter. And everything is so not about us. And we can find peace and happiness more often if we will step back and not make life about us. That we don't have to be in the center of things all the time. We don't have to be central in people's minds all the time. It doesn't mean we're not in their hearts. It means we have other things to think about. And life happens for all of us. For all of us. We can be clear-headed in one moment, and then you get a phone call, we receive an email, or something happens at home, and all of a sudden you're diverted, your attention is diverted somewhere else. And half the time we can't even remember what we were doing a few seconds before. I think it's the nature of life. And so if we allow ourselves to get knocked off of our groundedness or off of our center because of something like an email that doesn't come or a birthday celebration that doesn't happen when we think it should, and man, we're in big trouble. Big trouble. Opening up our perspective and backing up a little bit and being curious about perhaps a wider explanation for what may be happening. To consider that perhaps it's not all about us. Perhaps something has happened on the other side that we don't know about, possibly something catastrophic. Maybe somebody just got a phone call about a death or an illness or an accident happening. Maybe they're ill. Maybe they're grieving. Maybe they're carrying something that they need help with, and we're sitting in our little place thinking about us. And how come nobody's giving something to me? What if the other person is in need of us at that very moment, and yet we're sitting and lamenting that we're not getting something? What about me? What about me? What about me? If you haven't read the book of Joy yet, and you've missed some deep wisdom, it was written by His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. And they believe that one of the pillars of joy is perspective. Perspective. This is what they write. Edith Ava Eggert, who is a Holocaust survivor and wrote the book Choice, she tells the story of visiting two soldiers on the same day at William Beaumont Army Medical Center at Fort Bliss. Both were paraplegics who had lost the use of their legs in combat. They had the same diagnosis and the same prognosis. The first veteran, Tom, was lying on his bed, nodded into a fetal position, railing against life and decrying his fate. The second, Chuck, was out of bed, in his wheelchair, explaining that he felt as if he had been given a second chance at life. As he was wheeled through the garden, he had realized he was closer to the flowers and could look right into his children's eyes. Egger often quotes fellow Auschwitz survivor Viktor Frankl, who said that our perspective toward life is our final and ultimate freedom. She explains that our perspective literally has the power to keep us alive or cause our death. One of her fellow inmates at Auschwitz was terribly ill and weak, and others in her bunk asked her how she was holding on to life. The prisoner said that she had heard that they were going to be liberated by Christmas. The woman lived against all odds, but she died on Christmas Day when they were not liberated. It is no wonder that during the week, the Dalai Lama had called some thoughts and feelings toxic, even poisonous. Perspective, Jinpa argued, is nothing less than the skull key that opens all of the locks that imprison our happiness. The Dalai Lama used the terms wider perspective and larger perspective. They involve stepping back within our own mind to look at the bigger picture and to move beyond our limited self-awareness and our limited self-interests. We suffer from a perspectival myopia. As a result, we are left nearsighted, unable to see our experience in a larger way. When we confront a challenge, we often react to the situation with fear and anger. The stress can make it hard for us to step back and see other perspectives and other solutions. We have choice and freedom, even if that freedom is ultimately the attitude we will take. Perspective. Step back a little bit. It may not be what you think it is. And even if it is what you think it is, here, in this little spot, in the trees, if we take a look at the forest, we see something else. We have the opportunity to see and feel and experience something else. That there's something larger at play other than us in our spot in the world. So what's happening? How do we see the things that happen in our lives? Even things as small as an email not received. And yes, even as small as a birthday not celebrated on a particular day. Yes, that is small. It is to me now. It wasn't years ago. I would have judged that friendship based upon whether or not they called me on the right day. That friendship is one of my closest and dearest. And what it allows me to do now, because I don't just see me, and I'm not just concerned with my own self-interest, is that I get to hold space for him on that date, and hold space for him and his love for his friend. And then I have a larger experience of friendship and relationship because I know how deeply he loved her. And that reminds me of how big his heart is and how much the capacity he has to love me and others in his life. And yes, I want people like that in my life. If that had been all about me, I would have missed that. I would have missed that. Things don't always need to look like we think they need to look. I wished everything looked the way I thought they should look. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, as soon as I said that, the hair went up on the back of my neck. Do you really want that? And then I hear Dr. Phil, how's that working for you? Yes. And giving things a wider, larger perspective can be a great gift. Because, man, this has taught me that, yes, life is about me, and no, it is not at the same time. And that there are so many more gifts out there than my self-interest. Sometimes the way we help ourselves is by helping someone else. So Edith Ava Eger, who I just referred to in that reading, posted on Facebook today. She still has a thriving practice. She now counsels people with PTSD. This is her post from this morning. Is there anything more satisfying than feeling useful? I discovered that the more work I do for others, the better I feel. I hope you can find a purpose, a North Star that is outside of your basic needs, that you can learn to be a guide to others so that you can become the best version of you. I believe that the greatest gift of the human experience is that we are uplifted by helping others. Find your path and you will never grow old, only wise. Sending my love to you all, Edie. And we know, and Pete reminded us in the reading, as we realize our divinity, that we have power and authority to think and to speak the good and true and to have it manifest. We no longer invite or submit to inharmony or limitations. We think truth, and it directs us in ways of peace. So our belief here in unity, our principles teach us that we have this dominion over our thoughts, words, and actions. And so as soon as you find yourself in a thought that spirals you down into something dark, you get to change the thought. And you get to lift you up. That's what the poet said. in that video. And when you're surrounded by the fire, you're in the flames, in the midst of the flames, that Jesus is always there. And for us, yes, Jesus is way shower and brother, but Jesus also is the ideal, the ultimate representation of man, that we are that, the Christ principle, which gives us that power and dominion over all things. And so while we're standing in that fire, we are with the ultimate, because it is us. In pure potentiality, we are the Christ. We are all that Jesus represented in his power and strength. Everything that he called in, we can call in. And we need a wider and larger perspective. We get to tune into the divine wisdom that is and expresses as us. And we can say, show me what this really is. If you can't see a wider perspective, ask. Ask and it shall be given. Every time you ask, you'll get an answer. So if you don't know, you ask. You go within. Just like Jesus taught. He raised his eyes. He went into higher consciousness, evoking his oneness with the Father. And from there, every miracle sprang. And so we would do the same. That's what he taught us. Invoke your oneness, your divinity. What is the larger, wider perspective here in this moment? How can I see this differently? Where is the forest? Because I'm caught in the trees. I grew up in the Northeast, heavily forested, trees. I love being home. And the other thing I noticed is I love coming back here to Dallas because when I fly in, because there's not as many trees, that I love seeing a wider perspective and where you can see for miles sometimes. In fact, often I have to kind of adjust my perspective when I go home because everything is about the trees right here, and you can't see beyond them. You can be driving down the highway and you can't see beyond 10 feet because it's so heavily forested. Here you can be driving down the highway and you can see things for blocks. It's a wider, larger perspective. There's something special about that. Because when you're in the trees, you can't see the forest. You can't see the wide, open perspective. This past week, I was just in big sky territory. You could see for miles, mountains for miles. Stand in the valley and still look for miles, and in miles away, see the mountains before you. Perspective. Sometimes we got to back up. Stop looking at ourselves and what we need. Stop having those tantrums. It's all about me. It's all about me. I need to call. I need to do this. How come you didn't respond? How come it didn't happen like this? I need. Well, so does everybody else. Everybody needs. Everybody wants. Everybody has sent an email and not gotten an acknowledgement. It's not all about us. And yet it is. Because we get to exercise that dominion over our thoughts, words, and actions and change that situation immediately. And I noticed during our conversation, she still was reluctant to let go of the story. So here I am sharing about ways out. We can just let this go. You can let it go right now in this instant. She kept talking about it, kept circling back. And so then I got to practice perspective and say, maybe she's not ready. I did my job. She asked a question, I answered. Here's what works for me. The wider perspective, the larger perspective can give us freedom and happiness and relief. It's just an email. It's just an email that never got sent. It's just a birthday. It's only one day. You can celebrate other days. There's a wider perspective. Perhaps there's something more going on. Perhaps his heart is broken today, and he can't see beyond his own grief to acknowledge my birthday. Okay. There are days when I'm in my grief, and I can't see beyond my tears, and I let myself be there. And if somebody doesn't get that, okay, not my job. That's why you have dominion like I have dominion. I dated somebody many years ago, and his answer to everything was, "You'll get over it." Used to piss me off. And yet, there's a lot of truth in that. After I calmed down and took a breath and let my anger go, I thought, yeah, I think I will get over it. I got over him too. He was right. And I had to get over him. Yeah. Perspective. Yeah. You'll get over it or not. So what are you choosing? The dark spiral or peace and happiness? Yeah. You choose what you want. We all get to choose. We all get to create the life we want. And if you want life to be a little dark for a while and you want to continue to spiral about whatever, birthday and email, whatever it is, your mail got lost, somebody drove by, splashed you, you got a little wet, you didn't get everything in your grocery order you wanted to get because they ran out of something, something fell and broke. Everything can cause us to go into the dark spiral if that's what you choose. Life is all about choice. And I love that we were given this life where we get to choose and create what we want. So much freedom in that even in my darkest moments, I can choose light. Even in my grief, I can choose peace. What do you want? What do you really, really want? So you can choose to let go. You can choose to open up your perspective. Or you can choose to be in the dark. It's okay. You are always love and light, whether you choose it or not. Whether you choose to see it or not, you are love and light. But man, I think that's probably one of the saddest things is if you choose not to experience your own light. There's more love and light and joy and peace out here than we can wrap our arms around. But only if you choose to see it. Only if you choose to see it. Perspective. And keep it here. You can open it up. Open it up. What do you choose? What do you choose, my friends? Let's take this into meditation. And here on this day, this anniversary of 9/11, this is a perfect opportunity to choose a wider, larger perspective. "21 years ago, at this time of day, our heads and our hearts were reeling from what was happening. And they continued to reel for days and months. And for some, that continues. Those who were in the direct path of that horror. The tens of thousands of people who lost someone. Tens of thousands who love someone, know someone who survived it but suffered health complications. Physical, mental, emotional. So here and now, let's expand our consciousness around this. At 21 years later, as we still try to wrap our heads and hearts around what happened, that we know that from our divinity we get to see things differently, more expansively, more open. Perhaps we can love more. Perhaps we have greater understanding. Perhaps we have greater understanding of what our job is here on this planet because of that. Perspective. Where do you need perspective in your own life? What thing are you dealing with right now that you have a very narrow view of and made it all about you? Maybe indeed it is about you. But maybe you need a greater understanding of what it means in your life right now. Maybe it's not quite what you think. Maybe there's more to it. Or perhaps there's something there waiting to be let go of. Is there something you need to get over so that you can have more peace and happiness? Are you caught in the trees and you need a little bit better view of the forest? Just breathe into it. And if you don't know the answer, ask. Ask for what you need, for what you want, knowing that an answer will indeed come at the right time, in the right form that you will clearly understand. And give you an answer that also answers the desires of your heart. So let's take a deep breath. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And here in this place, let's now begin to lift the names of those for whom we want to pray. Papa, yeah. And for all those who love Papa, yeah. For Tom and Catherine. Melissa. For Mary Lou. For the Andrews family and all those who loved my Aunt Gwen. So for all of these beloved souls, and even those we have not named in this moment, but who are in our hearts and minds, we know that they are whole, perfect, and complete, and that whatever they need is already there within them. Peace, love, joy, comfort, vibrant health, clarity, assuredness. And so we hold the high watch, affirming their wholeness and completeness, holding for them their highest and best, whatever that may be in this moment. And we say yes and thank you. Yes and thank you. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen. So yes, here on this September 11th, I think most of us remember where we were when we realized what was happening in our nation. And so here I'd like us to affirm peace and hope today. Peace and hope within our own lives, peace and hope within the lives of all those on this planet, all sentient beings, and for Mother Earth herself. This is a poem entitled September 11th, and it was written by Kevin Powell, who is a poet, journalist, and civil and human rights activist. Might it be, as my mother said to me on this ugly, sinful day, that the world is on its last go-round. Hijacked wild birds strip the sky of its innocent morning breath. Steel towers crumble like playing cards on an uneven metal table. Unrehearsed screams we dare not hear leap from windows into the open, bottomless palms of God. I cannot stand to watch life reduce itself to powdery dust and soot lathering the devil's inflamed mouth. But I am fixated on the television anyhow. Is this what slavery was like? Is this what the Holocaust was like? Is this what famine is like? Is this what war is like? Is this how you felt, dear mother, when King and the two Kennedys were killed? I want to stitch up the sky, deny humans the right to fly, cry until my tears have washed hatred from the mildewed underarms of history. And I want to say to the firemen, ah yes, the firemen, your husband, your father, your brother, your uncle, your friend, thank you for speeding to the end of your time, and thank you for showing us that courage is a soul so unselfish it would scale a collapsing building to liberate a stranger, even as your blood relatives wonder if you are alive. From the remains of this madness, I detect a heartbeat called life. From the remains of this madness, I smell an aroma called love. From the remains of this madness, I embrace a body called humanity. From the remains of this madness, I construct a dream called hope. From the remains of this madness, I will ride the wings of the deceased into the clouds, scribble their names on the sun, erect a memorial to the moon, chant the blues for New York City, then resurrect a world where a newborn rose will jut through the broken concrete. Let's take a moment of silence now for all those whose lives were lost on that day, for all those that suffered and perhaps still suffer from what happened on this very day on 2001. One candle I light for hope, that we will always have hope in our hearts, that no matter what happens, that yes, we get to choose what we think. We get to choose a wider, larger perspective and to step away from the carnage and have hope. And the second candle is for peace, that we can evoke peace. We can still have a vision of peace for this world. Even though that there's those who are still suffering, we are in the midst of war in many areas of our world. There are people who are taking their last breath right now because of conflict and hate and separation. There are people who are being victimized by predators. We have become prey for each other sometimes. But because I have a choice, I choose peace and hope. Each of you has been given a copy of the prayer of St. Francis. And so I'll read the prayer aloud. And then I'd like us together to affirm the second part, the affirmation of peace that is derived from this prayer. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. And so if you would like, and if you would like to stand, you may. If you would like to stay seated, you may. And let's affirm peace. Together, I am an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, I sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. I will not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that I receive, it is in pardoning that I am pardoned, and in my dying I embrace the life eternal. And please be seated. Let's take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. So the source of all life, all hope, and all peace is within us. That divinity that we are, that love, that light that we are. And so from this place, we now recite our celebration of giving. Together.
I think it's time for this song here. Hold space for the good things in your life. Hold space for the good things in your life. create a pathway to your heart. Create a pathway to your heart. Oh, receive the love that's all around. Receive, yeah, the love that's all around. Receive the love that's all around. Receive the love that's all around. Hold space, create, receive love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I receive it all. I receive.
Perfect. Let's give thanks for all the tithes and offerings, all the love, all the peace, joy, and light that floods into this community, making it as beautiful as it is and more. We know that we are greater than the sum of our parts, and that the work that happens here allows us to do what we are called to be and do in this world, to spread a message of peace, love, joy, compassion, harmony, and unity. And so it is. Amen. Have the first slide, please, sir. So our gathering for peace is in 2 weeks, September 25, 1 o'clock to 2:30. Come have an experience of a guided meditation for peace. Do a short message. We have had some really good, deep discussions about peace and living peace and how do we find more peace in our hearts and in our living. So come and join us. You can watch online on unitysaxy.org or be here in the room with us. If you come to service and then you stay for the peace gathering, we have lunch provided for you. Next, please. Amazon Smile, I want to remind you, we currently have 8 people, and those 8 of us, we really love Amazon because we have, I think I looked at our last, I think it was 45 days, and there were 78 transactions within, just from the 8. So if you're not currently signed up with Amazon Smile, and if you've never heard of the program before, when you shop on Amazon and you select a particular charity, then Amazon gives a percentage of eligible items that you buy and gives that back to the organization that you select. So please use, if we're going to select Unity Spiritual Center, please look for our legal name, which is Unity Church of Saxe. And once you choose us, it'll be there for a year, and you don't have to renew it until a year from the time you first sign up.
It doesn't cost the shopper anything.
Doesn't cost you anything at all. It comes out of Amazon's pockets, which are large and in charge. The other thing I want to announce is my vision is always about us having a singing ensemble that will sing sometimes during the month. But I think the first time it'd be nice to do this is for Christmas. And I know it's only September, but music folks, music ministry, we've got to thinking about Christmas way before Christmas comes. So if you like to sing, you don't have to be a professional singer or anything like that. If you like to sing and you enjoy the music of Christmas, please let me know. And Stefan's, he and his big heart, he's going to work with us. And we'll get together an ensemble and we'll do some beautiful Christmas music together. So let me know if you'd like to be involved. And it's really just for Christmas, but, be careful. I've always got the rope is out there circling over your heads. Because I'm manifesting this singing ensemble. It's going to come. So we'll start with Christmas and see where we go from there. Okay? Just let me know if you're interested.
Before I do the vision and mission statement, I need to bring everybody's attention. There's a lot of people, believe it or not, that come in through the back because they go to meditation and then they come through the door. They never leave out the front. So what y'all need to understand is that we now have put gates up in front, and that gate has a symbol of the tree of life on it, okay? Pete's crew has done an unbelievable job of getting the site ready to do the patio, and then next goes the arbor, and then next goes the turf, and then I don't know what they're going to do next because I'm not going to be involved in it. But
So he thinks.
yeah, so I really want to give a thank to Pete and his people for getting that area ready, getting the gates up. I mean, I was just astonished at how well it looks. So if you have a chance, go out the front door, look down the walkway, and you'll see it. Because the tree of life is important that everybody understands. It's just not something. It's a symbol that everybody's an individual that's tied to one common purpose and one common goal, okay? That's what the tree of life symbolizes, and that's what we want to get across here, is that we're all part of a whole, okay? So, mission and vision? Yes, sir.
Also tell them we're gonna do like before and after pictures, and we might have a little clip.
Okay.
We'll try to see if we can make a little clip of how it used to look, and
We'll do that. We'll do that. We're also going to plan some type of celebration out there at some point so that everybody can celebrate what's been done. It's been a labor of love, and I'm glad that we're getting to the point to where it is, but it's been a labor of love. Okay, if everybody repeat after me. We are Unity Spiritual Center Saxe. We are a thriving global community of spiritual seekers transforming lives through love and the expression of our innately divine gifts. Our mission is to inspire spiritual and personal growth through teaching and the demonstration of unity principles toward the realization of living our best lives. Divine wisdom is at work in every area of our lives right now. Everything is always working out for us.
yes.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Your presence and your light makes this the absolutely most wonderful place to be on Sunday morning. Have a glorious day, a glorious week. Namaste.